on S-Ence Radio. This is Young Alexander.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Innervibe show on Sunday, the 14th of April, 2013. I nearly said 2013. Rosin Blue will tell me off. Hello, Rosin Blue, and Angel Hart. We have in the studio this evening.
Hello, Angel Hart. Hello, everyone out there.
Thank you.
Really good, thank you. Yourself?
Fine, thank you.
Good. And yourself, wasn't it?
Yeah, good.
Nice day.
It's been beautiful, Can't complain so much because we've had it's just nice to have double figures.
Yeah. And double figures what actually feels like double figures.
Yeah, exactly. Like even when the wind hit, it wasn't like that.
It was the warm breeze, wasn't
nice.
it? Yeah. So it's nice and warm today in England.
Awesome. Good energy.
It felt good. Well, I'm not sure if it felt good in other parts of England, but before we go into that, because there's been a few fights at football matches I've been reading about.
Oh, really? Wow.
But today, we've got on the show Ian Crane. Those of you who don't know him, he's a researcher, speaker and geopolitical analyst.
Okay.
Yes, he's an ex-Oilfield executive also, so he used to work for one of the big boys.
Wow.
And today he's talking about fracking and the implications of fracking.
Yeah.
And those of you who don't know what fracking is, Ian Crane will be able to explain it a bit better than myself. Do you know what I'm saying? So, Ian Crane is one of the UK leading authorities in deep geopolitics, where geographic, economic, social and political and spiritual issues conjoin. At the moment he's doing a tour of the UK called Fractured Future. He's due to have an event here in Leicester on this Thursday at the Stonecroft Hotel, and that's at 7:30 I believe. Is it 7:30 on Thursday or 6:30? Okay, we'll confirm that a bit later, okay? And the subtitle of that event is "It Doesn't Have to Be This Way." Ian asked the question, are we in danger of condemning our children to lives of abject misery? I mean, on the show we've asked similar questions, haven't we? You know, about our children, and I think that's because Ian himself is a family man, he has children himself, so he's concerned, like we all should be, you know, and not to be in fear, but to realise what is really going on behind the scenes, because we have been hoodwinked, to be honest. Do you know what I mean?
So many angles as well, because Ian obviously is dealing from the environmental angle, and we deal with the sexualisation in the media, and it's just basically the main thing you hear is the main topic here is, are we children?
Yeah.
That's because they're our future.
And that's the bottom line, isn't it?
Yeah.
But people don't seem to be bothered, do they?
No.
The impression that we get from the lack of support from what we do tells us that people aren't really bothered. And when I talk to other people who are doing similar things, that they're not really getting the support.
Yeah.
It requires
moral support, and
even
moral support.
Yeah.
Because the children are important.
Yeah.
And this whole fracking agenda, and really needs to be discussed.
Yeah, come to the fore.
They're coming, and we need to fight them in every way. Destroying the land, pure devastation, and you only have to look at other countries where they've proceeded with fracking and how they've lied to people, and the devastation of poison off the food, the water supply and so forth, and the soil, and what are they really up to? And Ian's going to come up with the answers.
That's right. As an expert in the field, being an ex-Oilfield executive, the top level, so do you know what I mean? He knows his shit basically. Do you know what I mean?
He does. I mean, the whole coverage of Gulf of Mexico, the oil spill there, and the information that that came through Ian Crane was incredible, and still there's still a cloud over it, and people not spoken about it, but so many years down the line, that is a big problem. and with beeping and.
Well, one of the dangers we face is people are not very proactive. And in some cases, they're not very reactive neither.
Yeah.
They only will, not in the strike, but they'll if something happens personally to them, then they may, and it's a very big may, even consider looking at things from different perspectives and different angles, which they don't anyway, because they keep going back to the same people who's causing the problems in the first place.
I mean, there's always like a source to it, definitely, and with this whole fracking thing, we need to deal with that, and we're hitting the main source, and there's everyone, if you really believe that we're running out of gas and think again, do you know what I mean? Do you really think that them drilling holes in your backyard and giving you money say to do that and thinking that they'll tidy up and everything and not cause the devastation, will think again, do you know what I mean? Because that's what's been going on in the States, buying people off and everything in desperation and recession when they had that big housing problem and all the rest of it, and people played into their hands, but there's pure devastation left throughout. And I don't know how they're going to succeed in the UK, being as small as it is. And the East Midlands here is like a farming country. To think that they're going to drill in Melton Mowbray or something is horrendous. Middle England, I don't know what the hell's going on, but it needs to be dealt with. It needs to be stopped.
I think like nowadays people are just like, I always say this, they're like comfortable in their discomfort. They're just
people, they're selling it like we've got a whole gas shortage and we need to drill everywhere and you'll get it cheap anyway. Well, think again. I mean, really, do you really think that's going to alter your bills up next year or something? I don't think so.
It's just also the fact that they don't really need to frack because there's so many alternative ways of getting energy. There's alternative sources. I mean, like solar panels, hemp.
Many other sources.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to dig for oil, really.
But Ian will go much more deeper into that. I just want to point out a few stories what were in the news and why people are not really interested in the fracking issue, in the sexualisation issue, and in other issues which will impact on everybody's lives sooner or later. It's because of these. It's because of these sort of things. There's in the Daily Mail, the Mail Online. I'll just read out this: more than 60 pairs of shoes, $10,000 worth of dresses, and lobster from room service. The lavish lifestyle. Wait for it. Of a 6-year-old beauty pageant millionaire. This is what we're dealing with. The youth now want to follow this sort of lifestyle. I mean, I'm not saying to this extent, but I mean, this is what is being fed to them on the TV
what they're
set.
heading towards. Definitely.
I mean, they've obviously chosen certain people in the to forefront and program our children. I mean, these are mind controlled children of some sorts, or in a cult of some sorts, and that's why the price is high. And their job is to program our children, basically. You know what I'm saying? Because no one can get to that level unless you sell yourself.
Exactly.
When you come to it.
Exactly. I mean, this
your
girl,
parents are in it or whatever. But you're part of the program.
This girl is 6 years old and she's a millionaire.
It's a joke.
Check this out now. Check this. She told the Mirror she doesn't want. Well, her mom told the Mirror she doesn't want her daughter to grow up spoilt.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
But then the sheep will buy it, saying it's just an ordinary mother with an ordinary child and there's no agenda behind it. But there's a big agenda behind it.
That's kind of just left me speechless. It's just, like sometimes I do wonder, like, getting into the mindset of some people.
Oh my God, that'd be scary.
Okay, let me finish reading this, She added, you see what happens to these child stars like Britney Spears, and I certainly do not want that happening to my daughter. But she does like nice things, so we do treat her.
Incredible.
If you want to treat her, give her a bowl of fruit.
Wow.
Not like
I mean, what does a 6-year-old know? I mean, you know, as in total materialism, as you've drummed into.
Because you know that at the end of the day, the children don't really know this unless they're fed it.
That's it.
At that age, children are impressionable.
She doesn't want to spoil it, but you see, most of the money what they earn, close to that million, is spent on clothes and jewellery. Who's that for then? Herself or the daughter? Come on. Or is she clothing people in countries who need clothes? What? Tell me, where's that going then? You know, wow. It's unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
I mean, the whole media front, you know, and everything is just at a very pinnacle point at the moment. Bullshit. Do you know what I mean? And every onslaught you can think of in every sense, you know. And on the psyche, really. It's not news. It's where's it all coming from? You know, reading the script. You know.
Unbelievable, that is. That's just unbelievable. And more stories. We just got this one on another one and got for a music break and bring Ian in. There's football rioting this weekend at Wembley yesterday at FA Cup semi-final, and again today at a game up in Newcastle. It's strange, you don't hear nothing for a long time and then
all of a sudden it kicks off, yes. So it's very high suspicion of Bibles.
You know what, I just have 2 words for that. Dumbasses.
I mean, you know.
It just...
And the previous article as well.
Yeah, exactly. And for that one, the previous article, just dumbasses.
Yeah. It's just crazy, isn't it?
Excuse my language, but...
It's just silly.
I don't even want to even look into this rioting and stuff.
Well, this is where this is the state of the nation, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know
I mean, you know, some of it's actually genuine, and then some of it's just coerced. And you know, and we have to be careful here at this time, you know. Yeah,
before we go to the break, we actually worked out. We tried to figure out how much the football games actually make with each game, and it's because it's the stadium's 50,000 seats, isn't it? And say for instance the ticket's about
money.
No, they range from about £20, don't
between
they?
20 to
to 100, 200.
So imagine that times 50,000. They're raking in money.
They're raking in.
They are, aren't they? Making a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's just...
And here we are. Here, that's what people are concerned about. Here we are, worried about the fracking.
And another story. In Camberwell in South London, a Portugal 23 dies in hospital after being shot in the head during a South London attack at a party.
Wow.
Yeah.
The gun issue keeps coming back.
It does keep coming back, doesn't it?
From America to here to wherever. The gun issue is coming back,
In an ideal world, guns should just not exist at all.
No,
but this isn't an ideal world.
No. It can be, can't it?
It can be.
It can be.
I mean,
if people start, actually caring about fracking and sexualisation and such.
And the main cause stuff.
But I mean, that's not where we want our attention anyway.
Exactly.
I mean,
we want to get rid of that.
Yeah, we want to get rid of that. Do you know what I mean?
Focus our attention on
the main agenda.
And it's these kind of things which are stopping people from actually waking up. Because they go to their football matches and go out clubbing and sit in front of the TV set. I mean, it's these kinds of things which are stopping them from waking up because they can't see outside that circumference of awareness.
It's a box, they're all looking at a box.
It's called the idiot one. They're stuck in their box, man. It's just crazy, isn't it? It's really crazy. But anyway, let's go to a music break. We'll come back and we'll holler at Ian Crane. Okay?
Yeah, the lights are low. We're out for the rest of the night. You can call me a fiend. I want your loving, come on, why don't you give it to me? Easy or maybe fast, freeze frame every flashing moment, and we remain here, clearing the open, hoping I'm not flashing your pen. I'm like a little kid wishing I was holding your hand. Between the class, we can dip under the bleacher. Let me teach you a thing, or maybe two. Me and you, baby boo, it's a plan that spins beyond your now. Like, wow, and move me, take me, make me loopy. Fiasco, ask no question, I'm your answer. Let's begin to advance forever and master the why, the what, the how, whatever the stanza. This is for us, so wanderlust must have puff, pass, and touch. Another part of what we thought was enough. I'm right here, never fear. Shift gears with your foot off the clutch and just hush. Feel about you, baby, 'cause you know that I need you. I do need you, baby. Oh, it's the way I feel about you, baby, 'cause you know that I need you. I do need you, baby. Oh,
she said I got you in the stereo non-stop. Merry-go, Harriet and a chariot. Various areas, vegetables, say. Can picture you getting carried away. Trying to get Paris to stay. Jean Garden / rap song off the corner, wrong film. All reels, all real. Call her in and beat it. L7B square. Breakfast on the beach chair. Sunny side up, that's how we preach shit. Yeah, call her on Z shit. Talking about I need it. Teach them teens born to see red breed, breathe this free air. Keep like trees on, good like leaves for nice like the breeze blowing sunny California and alone when the early bird gets it like a ticket when you're stoned in the red zone. Parked by the bedpost, open off the moment, smoking J's with your legs closed, talking about
it's the way I feel about you, baby, 'cause you know that I need you. I do need you, baby. Oh, it's the way I feel about you, baby, 'cause you know that I need you. I do need you, baby.
so great. Take me so long to do a show like that.
I don't know, you never asked. Hey, girls like to be asked.
What was I supposed to say?
You were supposed to call me up. And with that voice, you're supposed to say, it's the way I feel about you, baby, 'cause you know that I need you. I do need you, baby. Oh, it's the way I feel about you, baby, 'cause you know that I need you.
The Innervibe Show on S-Ence Radio. This is Young Alexander.
Yes, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. And yes, we have Ian Crane on the show this evening.
Yay.
Yes.
That's quite, yeah. Sure, he has a lot of knowledge to drop on.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Full of information.
Yeah.
Let's share it.
So let's call him in.
Hello,
Greetings, Ian. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thank you very much, and good to hear your voice.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show.
And thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the studio, we have my co-host Roslyn Bloom,
Wholeness.
also Angel Hart.
Hello.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Hi, Ian. So, Ian, just sort of like give us a brief introduction about who you are and such.
Well, how long you got?
I didn't say brief.
Historically, I was 20 years in the oil industry, in the oilfield services industry to be precise. Working with a company called Schlumberger. I was with them from 79 to 98. And basically, until I was 34 years of age, I never had any cause to question the orthodox version of reality. And then I was one of the first civilians to go into Kuwait at the end of hostilities in 1991. And basically what I saw in Kuwait, without boring you with all the gory details, but what I saw in Kuwait basically made me realise that the reality was not quite as presented by the mainstream. And this is before the days of the internet, so it was a hard slog. But it took me 7 years before I finally left the oil industry. And really, for the last 15 years, I've been a full-time researcher in deep geopolitics.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So
the Gulf of Mexico, actually, you covered the whole area into the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico.
Well, I did, and I mean, obviously, with my oilfield background, it gave me the opportunity to probe deeply into what actually occurred on the BP Deepwater Horizon in almost exactly 3 years ago. We're just a few days short now of the 3rd anniversary. And of course, what people don't realise is that the Gulf of Mexico is still a disaster zone.
That's right.
It's not being reported even in the US, let alone over here in Europe.
Right, that's true. And we were speaking about that earlier on. And then all about this fracking, and you're going to have to tell us in depth what do they have planned for us in the UK.
First of all, Ian, I mean, a lot of people won't know what fracking is. I mean, I only realised when I was listening to Max Egan sometime last year what fracking was actually. So if you could explain a bit what fracking is, please.
Sure. Basically, fracking is short for hydraulic fracturing, and it is the method by which the geology is literally fractured, is split, to enable oil and gas to migrate from tight geology, i.e. geology that's non-porous, into the bottom of the well. Without the fracturing process, it would almost be pointless drilling into tight geology because of the nature of the rock strata, it just wouldn't be a viable proposition. So it's only by literally pumping these frac fluids under phenomenal pressures down the well and effectively creating forced porosity in the geology, and then filling those cracks with sand or silica, and thereby creating a forced porosity that enables the oil and gas to get to the bottom of the well. Now, this is a technique that's been around for about, close on 70 years. But it's only really in the last 20 years that what I term aggressive frac fluids have been utilised to such an extent, and on land. And this process really kicked off around about 20 years ago in the Midwest in the US, when the oil industry started to experiment with tapping into the enormous shale gas reserves in the tight geology in the Midwest. And it's only really, I guess, come to the popular consciousness, if you like, in the last probably 4 years. And that's really since the oil and gas industry has started to move into areas of much higher population density. Because prior to 2008, 2009, it was a technique that was utilised in areas that were very, very thinly populated. So consequently, although a few people were affected, and in some cases very seriously, it was just such a few that the oil and gas industry and the respective governments could effectively keep it quiet.
Okay.
But now that they've moved into the higher density population areas of Pennsylvania, but even Pennsylvania looks thinly populated compared to Europe, and particularly, of course, the UK. And just to put it in perspective, I use a lot of the experience. I talk about the experiences of Colorado in my presentations, and that's because Colorado has had this technique applied there for the best part of 20 years. But the population of England is 20 times that, in terms of population density, is 20 times that of Colorado. And so we're into a completely different ballgame here.
Totally.
Okay, so what kind of what challenges do we face and what kind of problems could fracking actually cause?
Okay, well let's take a look at there's a number of issues here. I mean, first of all, once the well is drilled, then it has to be fracked, and it's fracked with a frack fluid, and the frack fluid is give or take, but it's approximately 95% water, which sounds like a very high concentration of water, but nonetheless, the other 5%, which makes up the basically the frack fluid. And this is the part that does the damage. So you'll hear the establishment, you'll hear the government, you'll hear the media, and the apologists from the oil industry talking about frack fluids being water rich. But that's like saying that rat poison is sugar rich. It's not the sugar that does the damage; it's the cyanide or fluoride that's in the rat poison. Within a frack fluid, we don't know the exact recipes because the oil industry is not required to provide that level of detail on the information, because that's regarded as proprietary information, i.e. that's what gives each of the companies that do fracking the alleged competitive edge. But that's what should be particularly concerning, because obviously the oil company wants the frack job to be as aggressive as possible, i.e. to fracture as much of the geology as it possibly can to maximise the return from the well. But to achieve that, then obviously the chemical cocktail has to be increasingly aggressive. Now, the other factor here is that we're talking literally millions of gallons. So for the average well, for a drilling and fracking operation, it's going to take 4 million gallons of water. And let's say that in the UK it's half that. Let's say it's 2 million. And each vertical well could have as many as 8 horizontal sections going off of it. So let's say that each of those horizontal sections takes another 1 million gallons. So we're looking potentially at 10 million gallons of water being consumed for each vertical well, and potentially we're looking at something like 6 to 8 per square mile. So potentially you're looking at the oil and gas industry needing 60 million gallons of water per square mile.
Wow.
Incredible.
And that's a hell of a lot of water. And a year ago, the whole of the UK was on the brink of being put under a hosepipe ban because we had a very dry winter. So the question, this is an issue that isn't being raised in the media. No one's yet addressing this issue of where the water's coming from. But now remember that this water is mixed with the frack fluid, 5% frack fluid. So when we're talking 5% of 10 million gallons, that is 50,000 gallons. So we're not talking a beaker full of toxicity. We're talking a significant amount of toxic mix. And the other issue is that when you pump this stuff down the hole, because obviously the oil company wants the frack fluid to be as aggressive as it possibly can be, then in reality no geologist and no petroleum engineer can be very specific in determining how much of the geology is going to open up. And it's actually considered a success if the oil company is able to recover 50% of the frack fluids that's pumped down the hole.
Okay.
So the other 50% goes goodness knows where. I mean, this is the other issue, because it's lost into the geology. It's a toxic compound. It's not naturally indigenous, obviously, to the geology, and it will migrate through the path of least resistance. And as I demonstrate and prove in my presentations, there are many cases in the US and in Australia and as well in Canada where we have the evidence that this frack fluid actually opens up the geology and allows the gas to actually percolate up through the soils. It contaminates the water table, and of course once it contaminates the water table, it then contaminates the soils. And I also have footage from Australia where the fracking activity is barely sort of 3 years old, But in those areas, in some of those areas, the frac fluid has created porosity in the geology, and so you literally have the gases, and it's primarily methane, but that it's mixed with some other gases as well, but primarily methane, and it's actually migrating up through the soil. Now, methane is an odorless gas, so consequently, what we see increasingly, more so in Colorado because of the length of time, but we see people's health being dramatically impacted because they are living in an extremely toxic environment. I mean, the water that they're drinking, bathing in, washing their clothes in, washing their plates and cutlery in, is contaminated. And the air they're breathing is contaminated. And this is having, obviously, some very, very significant impacts on health because the gases that they're breathing are neurotoxins. And there's a medical specialist in the US, Dr. Theo Colborn, who's also a specialist in endocrine disruption. And she is now working very closely with communities in Colorado, and they're literally working to try and identify, which of these chemicals and which of these gases are the cause of the direct cause of the negative health impacts they're starting to monitor.
Wow.
So, listen, I mean, people in this country, obviously, I wouldn't expect them, unless they've got a background in the oil industry, I wouldn't expect them to be able to know this, without it being spelled out. And the media aren't spelling it out. And any questions that are being asked are, to be honest, they're fairly tame. And of course, it's being pumped out as, this is the saviour. This is the saviour to the British economy. That Britain can tap into its own gas reserves. And England sits above, 64% of England sits above shale gas and coal bed methane deposits. So this is a very, very significant chunk of the English landmass. There's also, obviously because of the old coal mines in Wales, there's a lot of coal bed methane, particularly in South Wales, and right across central Scotland. So, what's being presented in the media is that the UK needs to do this for energy security. It's going to give a boost to the British economy. It's going to help pay off some of the debt. It's going to create jobs. So these are all the positives that are being pumped out there. And some of that may or may not be true. But this is the issue. People actually have to ask themselves the question, do you want this gas, or do you want to have clean, fresh water? Because the bottom line is you can't have both. Because either the oil and gas industry is literally going to suck the British water supplies dry, and Britain's going to end up being a net importer of water, which is far more serious than being a net importer of hydrocarbons. And then there's the risk that the water that we do have is contaminated by the frac fluids, and consequently, so large tracts of the UK could potentially become uninhabitable. And although, of course, it sounds as though, this is outrageous and this must be scaremongering because our government would never do this to us, well, if people really think this, that's why they need to come along and see, what I have to present in the Fractured Futures tour. Because I show the physical evidence, and let me tell you that nobody ever leaves my events believing that this fracking agenda is a good idea. And I can promise you that everybody leaves these events and goes home and tells everybody they know.
They have to. I mean, they don't have a choice, do they?
The amount of evidence that you'd have and what's happened in the States, for real,
Well, and if I haven't got people's attention with the facts that the contamination of the water, the soil and the air, then, what does tend to get their attention is that everywhere that we have fracking operations around the world, and in particular in the UK, in Blackpool, property prices absolutely tank. I mean, the property market in Blackpool right now is totally dead. Ever since the two earthquakes, the second one of which was on April 1st, 2011, the property market has basically died. I mean, nobody wants to move in the area. It's becoming increasingly difficult for people to get insurance on their properties because, you know, there were a number of properties that were damaged in the seismic events that were ultimately established to be as a result of Quadrilla's fracking operation. So, you know, if this fracking agenda kicks off and the primary targets are Sussex, the Mendips in Somerset, the coal bed methane fields around the Severn estuary, which straddles both down to the Bristol area and into South Wales, right across South Wales, the Wirral area and into Liverpool, East Midlands, where I'm speaking next week. I mean, East Midlands is sitting over massive deposits.
Don't say that.
And then the central belt of Scotland, basically right across and underneath Glasgow and Edinburgh.
I'm devastated because the East Midlands is a farming country, you know. Devastated.
Yeah.
It can't.
So I'm struggling to hear you guys. It sounds as though you're sitting in a cave.
Oh really? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Is it possible you can get a little closer to the microphone?
It's absolutely devastating.
Is that better, Ian?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly, Norman.
Oh really?
Okay.
I can't really hear.
Oh.
Right. So it's not the mic. This mic.
Unless he's tuned in.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very good.
I've got
That's better.
Okay. I've got a question. I mean, I know like I've got a brief idea that one of the reasons why the governments keep like sort of digging for oil is because it's all money to them. But like, I just wanted to know like, I've heard of people talking about the alternatives to energy. So
I mean, listen, the alternatives have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
The oil and gas industry either owns the patents or deliberately suppresses any other viable alternative.
Yeah.
And by the way, they do it in collusion with governments.
Yeah.
Because the issue that people don't seem to want to realise is that collecting taxes on hydrocarbons is the most effective way of getting taxation revenue after income tax.
Yeah.
And every vehicle on the road is a revenue collection device. And the average mileage that is returned from the vehicles on the road is 35 miles a gallon. I mean, even the mileage is deliberately kept down. I mean, the technology exists for every vehicle on the road to produce over 100 miles a gallon. I mean, that's assuming that we needed to even keep using this technology, which we don't, but, you know, I'm a realist and the hydrocarbons industry has got the stranglehold right now. But every vehicle should be returning 100 miles a gallon. But the average is 35, so of course some vehicles do more, some do less. But at 35 miles a gallon on average, then governments calculate how much tax revenues they're going to get. And you can imagine the situation. I mean, this government has already managed to increase the level of debt from 82% of GDP to 86% of GDP since it won the last election. And imagine what the situation would be if all of a sudden the amount of tax revenues they were collecting on fuel at the pump was reduced by 2/3. Obviously the economy supposedly, I mean, it's a different subject, but I mean, we have a debt-based economy that is totally contracted out to a third party, i.e. private bankers. The only countries in the world that are outside the private central banking system are North Korea, Iran, Cuba, Russia, China, and still at the moment Venezuela, but I'm not sure how much longer they're going to manage to stay outside. And so you can see the pattern. The other countries that used to be outside of the central banking system, were Libya, Iraq, and Sudan. So anywhere where the bankers' private militia, otherwise known as the US military, starts targeting, you know that the real agenda is to bring them into the fold of the central banking system. And so it is a separate subject, but I mean, obviously, ultimately, we need politicians with balls, like in Iceland, which is why nobody reads anything about what happened in Iceland, because the Icelandic government didn't buy into the austerity plans of the IMF. They came up with their own solution, basically, which was based on the model of North Dakota's economy, i.e. it's outside of the central banking system. So, this is in my presentations, what I try to do is I try to show the bigger picture. I show how these things are interrelated. So I don't just talk about fracking, because it's important that people understand why we have this grip by the hydrocarbons industry, and why it is that the hydrocarbons industry is now going for this new low-hanging fruit, i.e. the land-based shale gas. But there's another deeper part to this agenda as well. And if you're familiar with Agenda 21, which is the birth child of a guy called Maurice Strong, and was accepted basically by the UN at the Earth Conference in Rio in 1992. But the Agenda 21 talks about the ultimate goal of depopulating the rural areas and forcing people into controlled environments, i.e. cities. And there's no question that what the fracking will do over time is it will make large tracts of the countryside completely uninhabitable. Ultimately, we're in for another bad harvest, because last year was a poor harvest. This year is going to be a poor harvest because the ground is so waterlogged. And now, we're talking about an agenda which will probably kick off a bit later this year or early next year if the British government and the oil and gas industry get their way. And that's going to potentially contaminate large tracts of arable farmland, in a relatively short space of time.
Yes.
It definitely
So
confirms
it's
a lot.
all interrelated, so they don't want us to export food or feed ourselves, so they'll import food, and maybe Monsanto has a lot to do with it as well when they will step in,
Look, we see a whole bunch of stuff going on around the world, which eventually comes to the UK, and it's not surprising that sometimes we see things announced in the UK, and although people here won't realise it, it's announced exactly the same day in, say, Australia or New Zealand. That is no accident. But we have a situation in Maryland in the US. Where the governor of Maryland has just introduced a law which basically means that people will be charged depending upon the amount of rainwater that lands on their property. And in Oregon, last year, a landowner was sentenced to 30 days jail for illegally collecting rainwater on his property.
That's right, yeah.
So, ultimately, where this is heading, and this is to focus on an issue that's current, is quite unusual for me, because normally, what I've been doing really for the last, best part of a decade, anyway, when I've been giving my talks, I always, I focus on some of the contemporary events, but then, I extrapolate and put forward my analysis of where it's heading, and I had basically pushed aside the fracking agenda because there was a moratorium on fracking in this country. But I started to get a bit suspicious when Lord John Brown, the former Chief Executive Officer and Chairman of BP, announced in November, when there was still a moratorium, he announced in November that basically he would do whatever it took to get the shale gas industry kicked off in the UK. Now, at the time, a lot of people said, well, how can he say this? Because it's not his decision. But he works at the heart of government. Lord John Brown, for the last 2.5 years, has been employed by David Cameron as like a non-executive director of the cabinet. And his role is to supposedly implement a sort of business ethos into government. But, this guy is sitting at the heart of British government, unelected, of course, but he's sitting at the heart of British government, and he's directing the hydrocarbons policy. And he has a vested interest because he's the chairman of Coastal Oil and Gas, which has a significant interest in quadrilla and in UK methane, which are two of the major companies that are on point to initiate the shale gas drilling operation in this country. So, what we're going to see over the next few weeks is you're going to see the media putting out a lot of, they already started, and of course I show a lot of this in my talks, but the media have already started putting out all of the pro-shale propaganda. And of course the vast majority of people, they don't have the time, even if they have the inclination, to do the research, which is why I'm going around the country. I've done 14 talks so far. I've got another 50-something left to do until the middle of July. And what I'm trying to do is literally sow the seeds all around the country. And I always say to people, look, I don't expect anybody to take anything I say at face value. So I always reference everything I discuss. I recommend films and documentaries that people can look at, to come to their own decisions. And I haven't had a single person come back and tell me that I'm full of shit.
Because it's all true. And
it's all true.
The sooner people get to realise this, the better for their children in particular. And going back to the Agenda 21, because I read about it a few years ago myself. That agenda is purely for population control. They want to reduce the world population by something like 85% or something.
Well, even more. I mean, it's I suppose, because they state categorically on the Georgia Guidestones that number one objective is maintain humanity at 500 million in balance with nature. And of course, you had Bill Gates openly talking about population control via vaccines. And these guys, they make no bones about it. And of course, don't forget that Bill Gates has sponsored the seed bank in northern Norway. So these guys have already sorted away their own supply of organic seeds come the day of Armageddon or whatever.
Well, this is something I want to pick up on you as well, because we know they've got their deep underground bunkers prepared for something. Now there's a lot of talk in certain cliques circles whether they're preparing for alien invasion, or as we're talking about today, the fracking, which will cause earthquakes. And could it be that what they're really preparing for?
Well, it could be. I mean, it's not just the earthquakes. I mean, bear in mind that what the fracking will do is it will contaminate the water, which will contaminate the soil, and because the fracking is so aggressive, it also opens up the geology so that the gases actually percolate out through the soil. So it's actually contaminating the atmosphere. And I show evidence of people becoming very, very sick over periods of time because they're living in an environment contaminated by non-indigenous gases, and these are odorless gases containing neuroinhibitors, DNA disruptors, and endocrine disruptors. And that's why, for any politician to support this, they're either doing it through ignorance or because basically they've subjected themselves to corruption. But I can promise you that anybody with an open mind, looking at the physical evidence, would not in any way support this. And yet right now, obviously, they all appear to be supporting it. Now, maybe they think they have an invite to go down into the underground, whatever it is that's there. But, it's a private club. And you and I and everyone listening to this show ain't in it.
Simple
as George Carlin, very articulately explained many years ago. So the bottom line is, and you've identified the key issue here, because the fracking agenda isn't something that is going to necessarily impact immediately unless there's a massive earthquake. And right now there is a gentleman camped out adjacent to the quadrilla rig on the Fyle Peninsula, and he's camped there with his van and his placards, and he's encouraging people to stop and talk to him because he's absolutely convinced that his house was damaged as a direct result of the earthquake, which was caused by Quadrilla's fracking. And Quadrilla haven't apologised; they haven't offered to compensate him for the damage to the house. These corporations, they just sort of hide behind the fact, saying, "Oh, well, there's no direct proof that was caused by us." Just like in Colorado, where the oil and gas industry has actually been exempted from having to report that it's contaminated the water supply, and this is called the Halliburton loophole, which Dick Cheney got the Senate to introduce into the energy policy in 2005. So even when people have proven problems with their water supply, and it's got methane in it, it's therefore toxic, and the oil and gas industry is delivering bottled water to their front door, not because they accept any responsibility, but supposedly out of social conscience. Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of BS that we're up against here.
Yeah.
And one of the phrases that you're going to see in the British media more and more is social sustainability.
Yeah.
And what this means is basically where the media have effectively won the propaganda war, and people are so browbeaten that there's no real opposition.
Yeah.
And basically what we have to do is we have to appeal to all of the people in this country who are still capable of independent thinking, get them to look at this issue and get them to understand if this goes ahead, then what we are condemning our children and grandchildren to are lives in an environment that we wouldn't even begin to comprehend. It will be a life of absolute abject misery.
Okay, herein lies the question then, Ian, because how are we going to get the masses to really pick up on this issue? Because they're asleep. And as we like to call them, I don't like to use the term, but they've been made to be retarded. And that's exactly what's happened. They are made to be retarded. Stupid is now the new cool, and people are loving their stupidity.
It is. I'm not saying it's easy. This is tough duty. There are environmental groups out there trying to raise awareness. I don't mind who it is that people go listen to, whether it's Friends of the Earth or Greenpeace or, just a local group that's springing up. But, the big difference between them and me is I have 20 years in the oil industry.
Yeah.
I've been on frack jobs. I've been out to the gas fields and I've seen firsthand the effects of the fracking operations in Colorado and in Australia. So, other people will be giving, I'm sure they'll give great presentations, but, they will be much more theoretical. I will be speaking from personal experience.
Yeah. That is
what can people do? Well, what we're hoping that people will do is that in the first instance that they'll go speak to their MP, that they'll speak to local councillors, and I know this is happening because of emails that I've had back, because people are sharing with me the responses that they've had back from their MPs, and let me tell you that they are all basically singing from the same song sheet. Let me just read one to you, and by the way, it wouldn't matter whether I'm just reading the one or I'm reading half a dozen, because they pretty much all say the same. And this is what is so embarrassing, really. So hang on a second. I'm just here we go. I'm just trying to find it. Here we go. This is. I'm not going to obviously reveal the name of the MP, but it's come from his parliamentary email address.
Oh, okay.
And this is what he says. Very short. He says, "Dear, I'm not convinced by the anti-fracking lobby. Underground drilling needs to be done sensitively, but this country has led the world in this area, and if we ensure that environmental safety is prioritised, I feel we could exploit these reserves safely." Now, first of all, let's just take a look. This country has led the world in this area. Well, we've led the world in pollution, because that's BP, that's Lord John Brown. John Brown's track record when he was chairman and chief executive officer of BP is appalling. Because his mantra was profit above all else. And although the BP Deepwater Horizon disaster occurred after his watch, it was on his watch that we had the refinery, explosion in Texas. There were numerous pipeline leaks, and all of these issues were put down to poor maintenance because Lord John Brown was more interested in profit than he was actually maintaining a safe operation. So, coupled with which, if we cast our mind back, the most outrageous contamination, accidental contamination of drinking water occurred in Cornwall in 1988. And this was when a truckload of aluminium sulfate was accidentally pumped directly into the water supply. And the people immediately realised there was a problem because the water stank to high heaven and it tasted awful. And do you know what the local water authority's response was? Mix it with orange juice.
Oh, no way.
Mix it with orange juice and it'll make the taste go away. Basically, obviously many people were very, very sick. I mean, it's estimated that some 20,000 people became very, very sick, and quite possibly some died. But we don't know for sure because the British government and the water authorities didn't admit that there had been an accidental contamination until 2010.
Wow.
So for 23 years, the establishment effectively tried to deny that there was ever a problem. So, forgive me if I don't exactly have a lot of confidence in UK regulatory authorities.
Definitely.
So, in the short term, what have we got to do? What we've got to do is we've got to get people to look at this issue. We've got to get people to understand that this isn't about energy security. It isn't about boosting the British economy. It isn't about creating jobs. First of all, I don't think there's going to be any significant increase in jobs. Some people have claimed that the gas price will go down. I doubt it. Even people from the industry themselves have said it's not going to have a marked impact because corporations don't normally lower prices, they just take increased profits. So, and in terms of a contribution to the country's economy, well, the only people that are going to really benefit are the bankers. So, there is really very little justification for this. There are alternatives, even hydrocarbon alternatives. I mean, not least subsea methane hydrates, which is a little bit more expensive, but it's offshore. The key issue here, and of course there will always be people who argue that we need to shut down the hydrocarbon industry, period. And whilst I might have some sentiment with that, the reality is that we've got to be pragmatic. And at least in the short term, we've just got to get a ban on hydraulic fracking on land. And particularly, let's focus on this country because we live in a very, very densely populated environment. This isn't Colorado, it isn't Queensland in Australia. And by the way, in France, the French President, François Hollande, has stated categorically that there will be no fracking in France on French soil for the duration of his presidency.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. Very.
Isn't France part of the G8?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
What are they going to say to that?
Well, listen, François Hollande,
isn't
he can sort of stand the ground for the duration of his presidency. He's got another 5 years to run. But meanwhile, I tell you, the hydrocarbons industry is going to frack the hell out of Poland. Because Poland's so thinly populated because they're all over here.
So they can do whatever they want over there.
No, I mean seriously, Poland is a rural environment. And up until recently, Poland basically, was an indigenous economy. In other words, the vast majority of the produce grown in Poland had relatively few food miles, and was sold locally, and what wasn't sold locally went, regionally, and what wasn't sold regionally went into the cities. But, what this is going to do to Poland is going to destroy Poland's agricultural economy. So, I'm focusing on the UK. The good news is that there are groups waking up to this all around Europe. In Romania, on the on the 4th of April. There were massive protests right across the country.
Okay.
And I have to say that the Romanians are way ahead of the curve in terms of recognising the ecocide and the potential genocide that comes from this. They're way ahead of where we are. I mean, you know, I won't say I'm necessarily always preaching to the choir. I mean, obviously, you know, there's a lot of people who come to my talks because they've been sort of following what I've been talking about for a number of years. So, you know, the good news is that a lot of people who are coming to hear my Fractured Future events aren't necessarily sure what they're going to be hearing when they come to the talk. But once I build the picture and once they see this, they realise why it is that, you know, I have such commitment and conviction to doing everything I possibly can to raising awareness of this agenda.
Well, we're going to try and get as many people there on Thursday as possible because this is really important. And I know a lot of us in the conscious and spiritual and truth movement, we don't like to tackle the issues which are happening on this physical realm, which I've been so frustrated about over the years, having been in this circuit for a long time now. And trying to get to people, and they're always saying, "Oh, just be positive, look on the bright side, be love and light, and focus on meditation and stuff like that." Which I do.
The only thing I would say that's all well and good. But there's a few things here. You know, number one is that the establishment actually loves it when they hear people say, "Oh, well, we've got to do it, stay in the right, you know, space and all that," because that means that they're no threat. And that's why, you know, Dr. John Coleman, 30 years ago, wrote here in his dissertation, The Committee of 300, where he stated that the New Age was a construct of Stanford research. And consequently, you know, people, once they effectively devote themselves to, how shall I say, the non-material realm, then they're considered to be a non-threat. Now, I don't think it's quite as simple as that, but, you know, we do have to address both. And let me just share a wonderful piece of Gurdjieffian philosophy with you. Because Gurdjieff made the observation, he said, look, everybody has to, at some point in their life, extricate themselves from the physical, empirical, material realm and sort of go into their proverbial cave and go through their process of self-actualization. But once they've done that, he said they have to come back out. And he said, you know, the way of the monk is the most selfish way of existence on the planet. Because what he was saying was that, you know, the monk is obviously more concerned with his own sort of spiritual well-being, and just sort of goes behind the walls of the monastery, and all he's got to do is his chores, and he's fed and watered, and he just focuses on the self. Gurdjieff's observation is that, you know, we go through that process, but then our challenge, once we've been through it, is to come back out and find a way in which we can make a contribution to bring about the changes that we want to see in the physical realm. Now, at the same time, that doesn't mean to say that we should ignore the non-physical. And, you know, one of the things that I have been talking about a lot in my workshops last year is the power of, you know, the visualization. And let me tell you that, you know, it's 3.5 years ago, I gave a presentation in November of 2009 called The Green Agenda, Population Reduction and the End of an Age. And in that presentation, and you'll find this on YouTube, I said that we are literally a few weeks away now from the foundations being laid for global governance based on global warming. And I said, you know, and that was the Copenhagen meeting of December 2009. Because I read the scripts and I knew what was going to be presented at Copenhagen would lay the framework for a global governance based on the need to control carbon emissions. And I said, barring a miracle, barring something that we cannot even think of, within sort of 2-3 months, we're going to be in a completely different paradigm. Well, 5 days after I made that presentation, the ClimateGate emails were released, which took the sting away from Copenhagen. Because the ClimateGate emails, which very, very few people have bothered to actually look at, but the guy who's probably done the most to expose the climate gate emails is an Australian physicist by the name of Dr. John P. Costello, and he's published, I think he's updated it a few times, it's called The Climate Gate Emails. And anybody spending a couple of hours just perusing this document would start to understand the magnitude of the deceit and the deception and the lies and obfuscation amongst the climate scientists, because they were all being paid to effectively support a political construct.
So they can tax on it.
Consequently, Copenhagen was not what it was intended to be. I mean, basically all the sting had been taken out of it, because had they still tried to do or establish their global governance, it would have only brought more attention to the climate gate emails. And so consequently what they tried to do is they just tried to sort of play them down and hope that not too many people look at them. And of course that's why they're still sort of trying to push their climate agenda. So, but with fracking, there's a lot of environmental groups out there who want to link the fracking issue with climate change or global warming or whatever. The reality for me is, I don't care what you believe in terms of anything else. The issue here has to be the focus on fracking. We've got to focus on what unites us, not what divides us, because if the establishment can pick up on things that divide us, they will milk it. What we've got to focus on here is stopping the fracking agenda.
But it's not easy. This isn't going to be easy, is it, at all? Because
if it was easy, we'd stop it now.
To do right there. But making people aware of such issues, you'd have to get them out of their comfort zone. And people are in a massive comfort zone, and they don't like to admit that they've been wrong. They don't like to say, "Oh, my judgment was lousy of this system." Do you know what I mean?
I know. But listen, we don't have to persuade everybody. There's a lot of research been done over the last few years, especially with the social networking and everything else, as to what percentage of the population you need to reach out to achieve change. And actually, I mean, it's still a big number, but the reality is that if you can reach out to about 10% of the population, just 10% of the population, you have an opportunity for something to go viral in terms of the wider consciousness. And what you guys are doing here with your radio show, and in 15 minutes I'm going to be on somebody else's radio show. And then on Tuesday I start again this week. I'm literally holding these events. I'm in the East Midlands for the next 2 weeks. Because the East Midlands is an area that is going to be prime shale gas territory, and it's really, really important right across the East Midlands. People actually understand what this entails, because otherwise, what's going to happen is one day they're suddenly going to find that there's 400 plus trucks rolling up their roads, or into their towns or their village, driving across fields, setting up a well pad, and then the next thing they know, they've got this operation going on 24/7. And for every well, it's 400 plus truck journeys to ship all the equipment and all the water and all the fluids. It's going to change the whole way of life. It's not going to be a gas well in a rural area. It's going to be a rural area in a gas field.
Oh my God.
We spoke previously about one of the ways that it will hit people. You said yourself, and I agree, because we talk about this quite a lot here, that people won't respond even if it does affect their children. However, they may respond if it involves their pocket, if their pockets are going to get hit.
Well, we're seeing in Blackpool. I mean, like I said, this isn't. I mean, I actually show an official commissioned report that said that property prices of people living within 2 miles of a gas well could fall by 24%. But the reality is, in Blackpool, the property market has died.
Wow.
and they haven't done any drilling for 2 years. But because they had the 2 earthquakes, and because everybody knows they want to drill there, the property market is completely dead.
Wow, so nobody's buying, nobody's selling.
No.
Still.
No, exactly. I mean, you know, I have some friends who have a beautiful 5-bedroom house in the Fylde Peninsula, 5 miles outside Blackpool, right in the heart of the gas fields. They decided to actually, they were on the brink of retirement, but they decided to move to Spain and put their property on the market. They put the property on the market 20% below what the estate agents recommended because they wanted a quick sell, and they haven't had a single offer. And it's a beautiful 5-bedroom house.
Wow. But what sort of price was that?
Well, it was appraised at 325,000.
Okay.
They put it on the market at 250,000.
That's 70,000 less.
And let me tell you that if somebody made them an offer right now of close to 200,000, they'd bite their arm off.
Wow, it's that bad.
Poison.
So that's the and like I said, in the Fractured Future events, I show all the evidence to support this because obviously, you know, just on the airways here, you know, people have to sort of, well, they don't have to take what I say at face value because they can go on the web and check it out. But you know, in the course of an evening, I show all of the support evidence to underpin what I'm saying, and of course I will show the video footage, particularly from Australia, of your water contamination, of the fact that you can set light to your the water coming out of your wellbore, the fact that gas comes out of the ground, and the fact that people are sitting and you know eating outside in an environment that's contaminated by non-indigenous gases.
The devastation is incredible.
Well, I'm certainly going to have a look further into this also myself, and I think many people should also, as you say, because it's for the future. For the future, really, isn't it? I mean, I know you rushed for time here, but if you'd like to share with the viewers, you said that you've got a few dates in the East Midlands in the next couple of weeks. If you'd like to share them dates and share where people can get hold of you, your website and so forth, please.
Absolutely, all the dates are listed on my website. My website is www.ianrcrane, that's IANRCRANE, ianrcrane.com. And this coming week I am in Derby on Tuesday, Hereford on Wednesday, Leicester on Thursday, and then Milton Keynes on Friday.
Awesome.
And then the following week I'm in Nottingham on Monday, Stoke-on-Trent on Tuesday, Worcester on Wednesday, Reading on Thursday, and Northampton on Friday. And then the following week I go up to the northeast, to Durham and to Hull, to Scunthorpe. So I am literally, I mean, people look at the schedule, I am literally trying to cover the country.
Yeah.
And it is literally a case of trying to reach out to as many people as possible and get them to understand the magnitude of the threat. Norman, I'm sorry, I must leave you.
No problem, Ian. I know that you're a busy man, you've got your time and you've got all these bits going on.
Thank you ever so much.
Thank you so much for sharing your information with us. And
well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with your audience.
See you Thursday.
Yeah, we'll definitely see you Thursday.
Okay, see you. It's the Stonycroft Hotel in Leicester on Thursday in Oilfield Avenue.
That's right. At 7:30, yeah?
7:30 start, so doors open at 7 and 7:30 start.
Awesome.
Good.
Brilliant.
Right, we'll be there.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you.
Take care.
Bye now, bye.
Bye.
It's got on the radio.
Wow. That was some deep knowledge. I mean, like, just going into the fracking, but then a lot of what he said, like, confirms what we've, like, just confirms a lot of things that we've known for years in terms of, like, Iraq and Libya and all the other countries that have been affected.
Because we talk about it in our presentations as well, about them countries which the bankers have not got their hands on.
Yeah, exactly.
And look what's going on today with North Korea and America. I mean, obviously it's for that reason. And it's strange because I spoke to Ian about this yesterday, Do you know about that film, Red Dawn? My friend told me about it.
Heard about it.
It's actually about North Korea invading America.
Wow.
And they've been on the news. There's been talk about North Korea setting up an EMP in America, and in the actual film, it was that very thing. Can you believe this? It's right on time. Everything is right on time. We always talk about the films and the metaphysics of films and how they are connected to what's going on in society. And they've always put films on to make people, to make them desensitized to things. But films like Terminator, which came out a few years ago, that's going to be a reality in a few years. And that's how they usually do it. And they'll put something which is out on that time, and the actual event is actually happening at that time as
so
well.
they sort of pre-tell us their agenda, because they can't stop boasting, can they, really? I mean, they cannot help themselves, and they are making mistakes and keep on making mistakes because
proper psychopaths.
Because we're here and we're fighting you all the way.
It's like they sort of like want to get everyone used to the idea as well. That you're going to be our slaves.
And it might be nowhere near to where they thought they are. Do you know what I mean? Because and we've got a hell of a fighting chance to fight all of them. You know, not through violence, but any means possible, really. If it does come to that, protecting your own. But I mean, it's just there's so many other means.
Just through basically educating to elevate yourself.
Awareness and being proactive. And as you said earlier on, Angel Heart, but this is a test. This will be a test of the human spirit, of the British spirit. We'll see.
We'll see.
With the other things which are coming into play as well, with like benefits and so forth.
How can you be ignorant? I mean, East Midlands is a farming country. A lot of our produce come from here. How can you be blind to this, people? That's all I can say. I don't know. How can one say anything? It's just horrendous what they're going to do or try to do. We've got to stop them.
I'm perplexed, even with what we're doing with the campaign. I'm just perplexed that, especially people with children, don't take a second look at things. Even when you mention it to them, they won't take a second look. Maybe they will in 2 or 3 years' time, but by then, it may be too late. That people need to start to act now, as we speak now, start to act and look into what's going on, because a lot of people have got a lot of catching up to do in terms of knowing certain things.
And it's really weird, because if it... I was just thinking, it's really weird, because if it does go along, what are the health implications? How would the NHS deal with it? Well, it's not going to deal with it because it'll be privatised and we'll be paying for it. So there you go, guys. Hello. Do you know what I mean? It's just unbelievable. Let this go ahead and we'll be paying for it because everything will be privatised. There will be no NHS or,
the police force is going to be privatised as well. And we'll be
so they're going to make money out of our debts, basically, until we drop dead.
In a couple of weeks' time, we have a ex-police officer on the show. That'll be interesting.
Oh, fantastic! Yes,
spilling the beans.
Yes, that'll be cool.
About Babylon.
That will be cool.
Like stories.
Simon Wolf will be with us in a couple of weeks.
No, but give thanks for Ian coming on the show. Definitely, I want to do some more looking into the whole fracking thing and stuff. It's almost like when I was in school, we had a geography teacher sort of tell us about all of this stuff.
Okay. Wow.
Wow, she was a good teacher.
I'm not surprised.
No, he didn't work there anymore.
Soon got rid of him, innit?
Yeah, but it was weird because, and also he sort of like, even though he was telling us about all of this stuff, he even gave us solutions, and he even said that, he even said, I can give you my worms for you all to start your own wormery and stuff. But I don't know, he left before I could even do all of that.
Okay.
And learn more. So there are people out there. You just have to you stop them.
The battle for Britain is on, isn't it? We look at other countries thinking, things are happening in other countries and we're alright because we've got
I find it really funny because another thing is they're going to drill holes. You can imagine it, holes everywhere because they'll drill somewhere and it'll be a teaspoon. So they'll drill. Can you imagine how the hell do they know where it is? So it's going to be holes everywhere. It'd be like sinkholes because all America's sinking. 40 odd.
Potluck. Well,
Yeah, sorry. But,
that's what I was going to ask
Yeah.
Ian actually. If we had more time, hopefully we can bring him back on the show later days. About these sinkholes which are appearing in many different countries.
Florida, 40 odd.
Even Portugal, there is a sinkhole again. Russia.
It's just a bizarre phenomenon. I don't know what's causing it. It don't make sense. And let's delve into that.
Right, we're going to take a quick break, then come back and chat a bit more maybe, and then say chat out.
Yeah, that was interesting.
I got a bird's eye view.
Hip hop, so many things you can say about it. You feel me? Like on the real, like hip hop is just beautiful. Hip hop is life.
From the first time I saw you, infatuation pulled to the side to provide conversation. My reputation, but you were so cool. Any old fool knew that you was a Jew. Ghetto to ghetto, your influence settle. More hardcore than R&B, but not metal. Blacker than a kettle, you make me feel mellow. Introduction of my life, I said hello. Meet me in a minute, cause I gotta finish school. Some of my homies, they never finished pumping rules. Staying up late, always studying the tapes. The more I watch you feel in love, I guess fate had a grip on my mind state. I wanna rhyme, wait, I feel a line getting signed at the wrong gates. Until my heart breaks, the first for real. But I would still be loving you, cause deep is what I feel. Bird's eye view. She's the one I always count on when I wouldn't need me. One that's in the city, always written in graffiti. One that keeps me company when I'm all alone. She's my heart, my mind, my spirit, and my bones. She's the only one I know that would go across the globe. Meet me in a foreign land, treat me like I'm home. Everything I own, give to her, she deserves it. Treat me like a king, every syllable is perfect. Search to the earth for a reason just to be here. And since I met her, every moment's like a leap year. Baby, you can sleep here, you can stay with me. Anywhere you go, no, I'm probably gonna be full of energy, and you never acting tired. You everything I need when I pray, God supply. You my chunky fire, blessings you provide. Always in my life to the day that I die. Bird's eye view. Americans, but we was made in America, raised in America, haircut, illmatic, aesthetic, neither slanted part, lining in the army jacket, hard, on guard, sword sharp enough to split atoms, while I split hairs with Adam, crew cut, give them tax breaks, State of the Union, we debate to make them take a second look, cause there's crooks all around you, Ku Klux still exists, Black Panther exorcist, so aim high for that better shit, while I split hairs with atoms, E equals MC square shit, Einstein the science of a scientist, Esteban Oreo, Baltimore Oreo, the verses, lyrical photography, the purchase of a Polaroid is just what you need, maintain the frame, and that mainframe, a frame within itself, L7 put that work in and put it on a shelf, they can search it, worth about 1,000 words, they gotta see it first anyway, many say, don't touch the dial, Black Poetry, yo, 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 yo. Don't touch that dial, this is Black Boy Radio. Yo, 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 yo. Don't touch the dial, this is Black Boy Radio. Yo, 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 yo. Don't touch the dial, this is Black Boy Radio. Yo, 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 yo. This is Black Boy Radio. Yo, 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 yo.
The Innervibe Show on S-Ence Radio. This is Gaz Alexander.
Hello and welcome back, and thank you guys for listening this evening. With Ian Crane, as you know, and check him out, please.
Yeah.
His website. Do you remember his website?
I'm usually good at that, aren't I?
Usually, right? That's why I'm asking you. Not
Sorry?
sorry.
IanRcrane.com.
Oh yeah, www.ianrcrane.com. Ian IANRCRANE.com.
That's right. That sounded a bit young and American. Like.
No, do you know what it is?
Tell Yankee on me.
No, what it is that we've had comments from people like in America and stuff, and they say that our accents are heavy.
Yeah.
So I pronounce the R's.
You're English. Just be English, yeah?
I know, but I pronounce
it. To be somebody here.
I'm not.
You're English and you're from Leicester. Right?
No, I like to pronounce the R's for people so they don't think I'm just saying ah, like they're thinking, what the hell is R? So yeah, that's why I say R.
Okay. Maybe not, yeah.
No, I'm not trying to change my accent for anyone, but just so you know.
We'll have to change homes if Fracking carry on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll have just like a neutral accent, won't we?
Yeah.
In fact, do you know what? I want to learn a different language and just speak that for the rest of my life.
Okay, like?
I don't know.
Sign language.
I don't know, Slovakian or something.
Picture
awesome.
drawing.
That's a good one.
Picture drawing.
Just random, like.
Why is it be picture drawing?
Oh yeah, hieroglyphs are Tibetan. I mean, yeah, that would be cool. But no, honestly, people, if you've just tuned in, you're kind of late because you missed Ian. But he was talking about fracking, and he was talking, well, basically what fracking was, which is hydraulic fracturing of basically the earth. So basically, in simple terms, it's the rape and pillage of earth.
Basically, yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And
again, which they've been doing for a long time now.
Exactly.
I'm talking about the psychopaths from Western governments, and they're in collaboration with governments from third and developing countries also.
Yeah.
So, do you know what I mean? There's the devils come in all shapes and sizes and colours.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Exactly.
these are exactly what they are.
Yeah.
We've talked about this, whether it be in the mosque, in the government, in the church, there's the devil everywhere.
Atheist devils, Christian devils, Muslim devils,
Exactly.
alien devils, retarded devils.
No, it's honestly, it's quite odd because I was speaking with a friend today, and she was from another country. She was like, she was sort of saying, bigging up this country. She's like, look how amazing this country is. Look how much they provide for us. Look at the education they give us.
Wow.
Look at that.
Wow.
And she was like, back over in the Philippines, look how corrupt it is. He steals from the people. He sets up charities and he steals from the charities. And I'm thinking, That's what our governments do. But the thing is, with those countries, they're more open about it.
They're blatant in it. Here, they're very
snidey about it.
Very snidey.
Exactly.
Very snidey, very covert with their tactics, in it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And I just sort of like got frustrated and I said, you know what, just think about it. This country and other governments, they've raped and pillaged my motherland, my homeland, which is the Philippines. They've raped and pillaged it. So and then she just sort of like, I didn't know what to say after that.
Many people don't usually know what to say after that.
Yes, but no, you have to like you have
to give it to my mom, man.
Yeah.
Give it to my mom, innit?
And also sometimes we get frustrated. Sometimes I think I forget that they don't. I'm at an advantage, thank God, because I have been able to talk to speakers who have been able to give me this information. So, but then, like you say, give it raw as well.
Yeah, but it gets frustrating when people are completely dismissing it based on no searching themselves for any knowledge or doing any sort of research. They completely dismiss it.
I mean, they look at TV. I had a big argument the other day about aspartame and how I think the BBC or someone did a whole programme on it saying that aspartame was safe, and I was like, all you had to do was look on Wikipedia. I didn't want this argument, over a dinner table, but I couldn't believe the audacity, like they actually willing to still say, it's all right, you'll say no, but I'd rather believe them. And it's hard
actually mentioned aspartame, and I mentioned Carol because in one of the episodes of Coronation Street, I think you can get the clip on YouTube.
Oh, right.
They mentioned aspartame in it.
Oh, did they? Wow, I like that.
One of the women looked at the packet and said, "Oh, that's got aspartame in it. That's not very good for you. Give that to your child."
Yeah. So they're dragging these things.
So they're giving little bits of the truth.
But they're not, because they're trying to make it acceptable that it's okay, because they got disinformation agents, and then they make this program saying to everyone that it's okay, and instantly they believe it. No one gone to look at Wikipedia and say it tells you straight off that it is a badass thing to have in your system. I mean, come on, anything that's you either have sugar or you don't. Come on, everyone, that's the name of the game.
And look at
you either do or you don't.
And it's not just
nothing in between.
It's the other sweeteners and stuff. But
aspartame has got many names.
Even white sugar, white sugar is just
bleached and
straight bad for you anyway.
It smells like chemicals.
The thing is, like, I mean, I think this is for another show really, but just like to give a brief note to people, white sugar, they basically they don't tell you what it is. It's basically a drug, simple as. So.
And that's why people are addicted to it. They're addicted to sugar, to salt, to wheat. There's so many addictions.
So many addictions.
I mean, and we have to come to terms with this. I mean, look at the amount of Coke and Pepsi and all the other oranges and lemonades which are being consumed on a daily basis.
Like water,
It's horrendous, and people, they don't know what they're drinking. They don't know what they don't know what they're putting in their bodies. They don't know what these things are doing to their bodies, to their brain cells, to what it's doing to them in general. They just don't know. They haven't got a clue. And what's worse, they don't want to know. They don't care.
Yeah, I don't think they do, because like this girl about this horse meat, sorry to go on about that, but someone goes, there was some unidentified DNA in a supermarket or something they found. How can you have a meat that's unidentified in DNA levels? I cannot believe this. And even then, people are still putting, what is that?
Saying.
What is it? If you can't identify, what the hell are people eating in the fast food industry? DNA that cannot be recognised. Are they telling you something that they're not telling you? And I hate to go where I'm going, but it has to do with McDonald's and a rabbi. But
go on.
do you know what I mean? But no, it's a bit like, I don't know. If I get, I don't know. I've just seen something like Monty Python and stones being thrown at now, but it's very deep, and it's to do with the occult and satanic rituals and how they get rid of bodies. But there you go, and from a mouth of a rabbi. But I mean, if anyone's on my level, they know where I'm headed with that one. But anyway, that's another story. Sorry, another story.
I think the moral for basically everything really, especially with today's show, is like, you know what,
fix up and wake up.
And just, realise that
children see it more than
exactly, and just realise that, you know what, there is the devil, there's God and the devil in everywhere and stuff, and what we're dealing with right now is straight devil. Straight devil.
And these devils, you call them, or malevolent beings, are giving people fantasy and fairy tales to absorb on the big screen. Do you know what I mean? And absorb, they do, with great urgency and great.
Well, they're proud, aren't they? The BBC are bringing up their kids. Or the Disney Channel's bringing up their kids.
They're thrilled. They're thrilled to sit in front of the TV and be absorbed by the clowns. Do you know what I mean? Doing their circus acts. Do you know what I mean? And hypnotising them into becoming sheeple. I'm afraid. I mean, sometimes we do give it raw on the show, and some people don't like it, but this is the harsh reality, I'm afraid. I mean, it's called tough love. This is why we do the show. We don't get paid for the show. We don't get paid for this. This is out of love, and some people give you love in different ways. We give it to you raw, no games. Because I've had enough. I've had enough for the ignorance, the stubbornness, the downright lack of care in our society. Not just for the earth. I mean, most people don't even care about the earth, but they care for our children in particular. It really frustrates me.
And then, like, it's just weird because like people sort of like start nitpicking at certain things, and they're like just things that are just
irrelevant.
Definitely, because they want to nitpick on those little things because they're too scared to sort of face the bigger picture.
Where's the reality?
The reality really. And then that's why humanity is just like sometimes humanity is just stupid with each other.
Okay, but do you think that these people deserve to be governed by these malevolent psychopaths? Do you think they deserve to be governed by these people?
That's a hard question, because then I always put in the question, but maybe if they weren't so programmed and manipulated, maybe they wouldn't deserve it. Nobody deserves it. But we have to put that into acknowledgement as well. Do you know what I mean?
Like there's sort of like soulless people, walking around because they're living in some kind of matrix or program, and they ain't seeing nothing else, and they're never going to see anything else. Do you know what I mean? Because that's how it's going to be for them. And there's many of them in allegiance, you know what I mean? They've been churned out.
There's not wrong with it.
There's many, I mean, nothing's computing, nothing matters. It's very like lacking empathy. It's gone. It's wrenched out of them. It's like the soul's gone.
I call them the
body snatchers, snatching souls.
The unconscious and obedience. That's who they are. You know what I mean? They're obedient to a system which is really, raping them day to day.
So most people ain't got concern. No one's got concern,
Because nobody really wants to do meditation or do the healing arts to build up their own personal energy also. That's another thing.
Or to share their wealth or their food, or it's a very selfish, no empathy planet at the moment,
I'm not going to say nobody, because some people actually do. It's
quite on the scales, isn't it? I mean, everyone's too busy surviving at the moment with they can't survive. And even if they're working, they can't survive. So it's all, it's a very edgy times at the moment with them.
So do you think... Are we doomed?
No, we're not doomed. There's always hope. Grace and laughter. No, there's always hope. No, there is, because there's us, and there's them, and there's everyone. There's many of us. On different things.
There's a lot of negative, but like one positive thing I see is like, look how many like friends we've made, and look how many people have sort of like, they just sort of like started to go on a different path because of like just by we're engaging.
And that's what it's all about. It's about engaging, isn't it?
Yeah. So there is hope. There is hope. I mean, it's bit by bit, and sometimes we don't we don't see it immediately, but then like when I actually think about like how far we come, then I'm like.
Wow.
Yeah. So you have to look at that side as well, I think.
But I think what frustrates me in particular is the fact that we could be running out of time in terms of this fracking and in terms of the Agenda 21, as Ian talks about, the depopulation program, which is already underway anyway. We see in third world countries it's been underway for a long time, third world and developing countries. But here, America, in the so-called first world, the developed countries, this is where it's at stake. This is where we're going to really see what people are really made of. Do you know what I mean? If they're going to lie down and take it, or they're going to stand up and fight until they're dead. Because this is what's going to.
I mean, obviously, God, to observe this fracking in East Midlands is going to be absolutely extraordinary. I think they've got a fight on their hands because I tell you, you've seen a lot of other things back in the 80s and the late 70s, and I think they've got a fight on their hands, guys. This is farming country, and people like to grow their food and they're conscious, So no, they've got a fight on their hands. I think they have, definitely. Yeah. I can't see Melton Mowbray. I can't see, there's many places I can't see this happening. Well, they're going to put up a fight every day.
Do you think the people of Melton Mowbray will come out with their placards and
I mean, when we had these,
I'd like to see that.
you used to camping outside where we used to keep the warheads and all the rest of it. So what's so different about doing this? And they will,
Because they've got a big field out there where they.
Don't forget we've got a massive eco warriors and what. We've got so many people that have been fighting for.
Not the eco warriors. I'm talking about the normal average Joe, the normal average Jane.
I think
who goes to the local pub, who goes to the local hair salon, who watches EastEnders and Coronation Street. They're the people. Do you know what I mean? Because as Ian says, we are preaching to the choir a lot of the time, and it's usually the choir who comes out and supports.
England likes to grow food, so I like to think that everyone likes to grow their own food in the UK. So I like to think that there's quite a lot of people away. When you start messing with the backdoor gardening or something, or some, even these chemtrails that have been going on at the moment, people are taking notice. Some people you can't get to, but yes. But I think they've got to fight them.
Well, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. We'll be supporting the cause also.
Definitely.
Even if it's just spreading the message via
across to people,
the internet and how we go with the campaign. It's something else what we can bring into the campaign also. You can just mention it briefly. And there's a couple of links which Shireen Asno posted. Unearthed the Fracking and fault lines fracking in America. So there are a couple of links that you can watch on YouTube. So that's Unearthed, the Fracking facade and fault lines fracking in America.
So that's like dangerous moving lines that are causing earthquakes and major devastation. So it's not really about gas, is it? It's a major depopulation of us.
The Agenda 21, the Georgia Guidestones, it's, really do have to take a serious look at it and dig deeper. Dig deeper.
Yes.
With the knowledge out there, and dig deeper in the knowledge that we have within, that inner wisdom, that insight, that intuitive prowess that we all have.
And fracking isn't actually in the dictionary. It's like it's not a word that anyone knows.
It's not in the dictionary, is it? No.
Sorry, I'm hearing, whenever I hear fracking, I'm hearing another word. But it's actually true, because you know how they don't want to frack the land, they actually want to, land's fucked. Because we're getting fracked.
In no certain terms, in fact,
Exactly.
Oh dear.
So we need to get everyone used to chemtrails and fracking. Two concerns actually. Because I don't think anyone's noticing all the chemtrails that have been sprayed.
Oh my gosh, the amount of pictures I've taken on my phone.
Yes, loads, It's quite a big onslaught going on, against us.
I mean, I suppose just getting the word out. We need to just get the word out there and see how it grows, really.
Yeah, let's see what response we get from now we put the word out. Yeah.
Because really right now, well not even right now, pretty much that's what we can do is just start planting seeds and see how they grow. Some seeds just don't.
Some ain't growing.
But then some just blossom into something beautiful, so you know.
And open up like 1,000 petal lotus.
Brown chakra. Anyway.
Okay, right, we're going to take another music break and then we're going to come back and say ciao.
Okay.
Yeah, we the monsters in this. Waters bar, Tyler Kwame, BKMC. Blacksmith, let's go. Yeah, crying and waiting and hoping, yo, that's the dumb way. Changing life, that's like bringing knowledge to the gun play. So some stays trapped at all times, some pray. Yeah, the last raiders with that flavor, we got bangers, dollar van riders, the gangsters, the strap hangers. Plus we take it back like 8 tracks a day, that's just facts.
Some days I feel it gotta get better, man. So I'm predicting clear skies like the weather, man. And even if it do rain, it's whatever, man. Cause eventually the sun shines upon us again. Some days I ain't got time for the fussing, man. All of the cussing, man. Moving around, hustling. Some days just wanna chill, wanna settle in. Open up the word and pray God to bless us again. You know how poor folks lean on religion, man. Cause it explain why we can't beat the system, man. Why we living in these conditions we living in. Why 1 in 5 of us is dead or in prison, man. Check the statistics, man. Just horrendous, man. To be real, this is how I could just kill a man. It's easier to be a dealer than a killer, man. I'm trying to be a thriller, man. Falling, you feel me, man?
Got too much disillusion, it's consuming me. So how do I handle it? And what do I do with it? Some days it got me chewing, it won't let me be. How do I handle it? And what do I do with it?
Someday let Johnny have straight focus on the path. Another day, another paper chase. Gotta get this cash up. Seeds are growing faster. With real life pushing me closer to the edge, but I don't wanna lose my head. That's why I'm not getting this flow like bread. I sweat equity. Blend up ridiculous levels of substance and integrity. Who out to get the best of me? With snatch of scopes and hopes and screaming on the corner, selling dope. It's stumbling in full spitting quotes that provoke a whole movement of people. Anticipating straight drooling for the sleeper. Dosage of emotion and expression. Blood flowing, hypertension for frustration. See the heights of my godly essence. Peaking, reaching various regions. Hip-hop in its purest form, so pledge allegiance. I do this music here for so many reasons. More than a song, hear the seeds by merely speaking.
Got too much disillusion, it's consuming me. So how do I handle it? And what do I do with it? Some days it got me chewing, it won't let me be. How do I handle it? And what do I do with it?
Let's go. Yeah, it's really hard. This rap shit is so stale. I stay fresher than the dude just out of jail. It's what it is nowadays. Everybody got a present record and they record for sale. And we just lazy as hell. With the unemployment check in the mail, they say that they sell. Well, I got a bother at home watching Maury like your man's not the father. On my computer trying to block the poppers. Can't say it's not an option. I ain't got the drop the doctors. So I self-medicate, hallucinating, undelusional state. Fooling myself saying to elevate like I'm really getting high, but I'm addicted to the pluses. I spit the shit on records, it's conflicted with the message. Gotta quick to pick the bigger weapon. Like boots, rallying the troops. George W. in the place too. Except when I write the truth, so they try to suppress it. But you gotta respect it, cause I'm fighting through.
Got too much disillusion, it's consuming me. So how do I handle it? And what do I do with it? Some days it got me chewing, it won't let me be. How do I handle it? And what do I do with it?
That was Talib Kweli featuring John Robinson and Torre DJ K.O. Someday. yes, it's been quite a show, and I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed your company, Angel Heart, and Nicole.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And thank you very much for Ian Crane for coming on the show once again. Would you like to share his details once again, please?
Yeah, his website is www.ianrcrane.com. So IANRCRANE.com.
This is going to annoy me now.
Okay, whatever. Anyway,
Can you just do it in a Leicester accent?
I thought you hated the Leicester accent.
Well, that's your accent.
Anyway, but anyhow, he is actually coming to Leicester on Thursday.
That's better.
Ian's coming to Leicester on Thursday at the Stony Craft Hotel. At 7:30. Well, doors open at 7, but the event starts at 7:30. So be sure to get down there.
It's at 5 to 7 Elmfield Avenue, and I think that's just up London Road, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, yeah, I've seen it on my bus route.
Past Vicky Park.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Just past Vicky Park.
Yeah, I've seen it on my bus route.
The postcode is LE2 1RB. 1R for Roslyn, B for Blue.
Oh my god, yeah. So LE2, 1 Roslyn Blue.
And the event will be filmed also. So get yourselves down there, and if you can't manage to make it, as I said, it will be filmed and we'll be putting it up on YouTube. Okay, so yeah. Thank you for listening, guys, and yeah, I mean, get to work. As Ian asked, are we in danger of condemning our children to lives of abject misery?
Yeah.
So I hope we can take that question to bed with us this evening and contemplate it and see what we can do to not make our children's lives abject misery.
Yeah.
I mean, the things that we have to do, we have to start to become proactive rather than reactive.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not to dictate to anyone, but this is the reality. We do have to get to work.
Yeah.
I mean, in all senses, the inner work as well as the outer work.
Yes.
I mean, we have to be one with that that peace, that inner self, that inner teacher, which can guide us through these times and give us the intuition to know what to do. Then we'll have a knowing of what to do in these times that we're living in. That we'll make the right choices. So we are working from an egotistical perspective at the moment. So we really need to get back to nature, and that is going within, as I said. So I mean, and beholding the truth that is within us all.
Yeah, so, I mean, before we close off the show, just share the links as we usually do. So for this show and previous shows, our YouTube channel is Innervibe Show. So that's youtube.com/INNERVIBESHOW. See, I didn't say R. And
God damn.
and we have another channel, SKIDAN4REAL.
You did that.
I'm going to be really conscious about this now, but yeah, so yeah, be sure to check out this show and other shows, and if you want to leave a comment, constructive criticism is always welcome, but not no nitpicky stuff, please, because it will just get deleted.
No nonsense, yeah, come on, delete it.
Simple, it's just simple. But anyway, it's all love at the end of the day. Like, if you want to, just come on, people. Where's the love?
Yeah. Where is the love? Okay, maybe not.
No, but anyway, I just want to say Hotep people and join us on Sunday.
No,
Wednesday. Who have we got Wednesday?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Anyway, find out anyway. But
I think there's no justice, just us.
Alright then, Hotep hold this people.
Yes, thank you everyone.
Hold on.
Okay.
Sparks says hello everyone.
Oh, word up Sparks. Yes, word up Shireen.
Everyone.
Amelia. Everybody else who's in the who's online this evening. I couldn't see everyone.
Yeah, and give thanks to Ian for coming, and thanks Angel Heart for joining us again.
We've got DJ Lee for S-Ence Radio and giving us this opportunity to era things. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
thank you.
And spit out
Really,
some
really
truth.
appreciate
You get me?
that.
No
Yeah,
doubt.
absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Bless you.
Okay, so wholeness and high vibrations and love and victory for the benevolent beings of planet Earth.
Wholeness.